We were just kids with cameras and dreams, chasing the stars, ripping through the seams. Drama club stage to a film reel spin, the AV club where it all begins.
Commander Stahl, hailing frequencies are open.
Wonder Woman, starring Linda Carter, and Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby, will return at their regular times next Friday evening on most of these stations.
This is Steve Harry Harris and the Harris Film crew. Okay, tonight we're doing the AV Club. So I wanted to start the show with a little AI music. I know, it's a love-hate thing for me. Tonight we have Matt Arnold. Change your background, huh? Ken Mays.
It's like Matt's ready to abandon ship.
Roy Ivey. And Mark Ferguson. Dude, watch out. You got a weird flying pizza behind you on your right.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a splat. Yeah.
Ken Mays, talk to us about this music video you made this week.
Yes, it's I wrote lyrics for 3 songs that are based on events from my childhood, that true stories, they really happened. This one's more of a generalized, it happened on an ongoing basis for several years until we finally got cable. But back in the days when we were running off of a television antenna, this is what my dad would have me do.
Okay, so you're telling me you had one of those tall antennas to bring in Dallas, or what?
Actually, we lived in Oklahoma, so we had it pointed toward Oklahoma City.
Gotcha.
Which was where we had the 4 TV stations, and we didn't really mess around much with the higher bandwidth at that time. We heard rumors that there were other channels, but my dad was never that interested in them.
Oh, UHF, yeah.
Yeah.
UHF was weird at the time. It had a lot of
yeah, we had
strange
4, 5, 9, and 13.
Yeah. We had some strange UHF channels that would play things that you never heard of before, like Ultraman and, that kind of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Kenneth Mays Films music video, Snow on the Roof.
Snow on the screen.
Snow on a screen.
Back in 72 on a frosty January night, Dad called me outside, said the signal ain't right. The snow was falling, biting straight through my skin. Climb up that roof, boy, let's tune it in. With mittens too thin and boots hand-me-down, I scaled that old ladder as the wind whipped around. The antenna swayed like a branch in a storm. I gripped it tight, trying to keep my hands warm. Turn it to the west, son, no back a degree. That's just the moonlight, not the clarity we need. Through the static and snow, his voice loud and mean, but we both found some magic in the snow on the screen. That box in the corner showed black, white, and gray, the only window back then to what lay miles away. Dad was shouting commands, cigarette in hand. I'd shiver and grin, doing all I could stand. The stars up above, they lit my way home. Once the picture got clear and he gave the all done, I'd climb down the ladder, feet heavy with ice. The warmth of the fire never felt so nice. Turn it to the west, son, no back a degree. That's just the moonlight, not the clarity we need. Through the static voice loud and mean. But we both found some magic in the snow on the screen. The stars up above, they lit my way home. Once the picture got clear and he gave the all done, I'd climb down the ladder, feet heavy with ice. The warmth of the fire never felt so nice. Turning to the west, no back a degree. That's just the moonlight, not the clarity we need. Through the static and snow, his voice loud and neat. We both found some magic in the snow on the screen. Oh, we both found some magic in the snow. Oh.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Tell us real quick how you created this music.
I wrote the lyrics first, like I said, based on real events. And then I put it into the song generator, generated the song. And then I thought, I want to share this music. But I wanted to make a music video. And I was like, well, how am I going to do this? And finally, the easiest way was to just take old photographs and just do a montage.
How did you edit them together? What do you use?
Blender.
Blender. Okay.
You can load an individual photograph into their video editor and just stretch it so that it fills a certain amount of space.
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is that because they were all different formats, they stretch and
squish. Yeah.
Yeah. The next time I do it, I'll do it a little bit better and.
Just leave them the format they're in and let it have black space on each side.
Yeah, well, the thing is, to do it that way, I have to actually use the renderer and basically bring the photographs into Blender, using the import images as planes, and then set the camera up, do an ortho, and render it out that way.
All right. So, what'd you think there, Matt Arnold?
I like the music.
Yeah.
I like the music, but we finally see what Ken looked like when he was a kid.
Yep. Hard to believe, huh?
That tells you how we grow quick, older. And just in that length of time.
Yeah.
Remember how little that we are then, and we grow up very quickly. And
this is true.
Life is precious, and just like we think about Martin and all. And,
right.
But even in our own lives, I don't have too many childhood pictures.
That's sad. Yeah.
And I don't have too many either. What you saw was basically what I've got.
Wow.
The only pictures that I have are the ones my sister took.
Mm-hmm.
And when she died, whenever she died, all of it, our nephews throw them all in the garbage.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. I have more pictures of my cousins when they were kids than I have of me.
I told them that I'm going to break the camera if they take a picture of me.
Maybe that's what happened.
That's probably the reason why everybody's camera even now breaks.
Now, part of it was when I was around 5, we moved from one house when we lived in Kansas back to Oklahoma. But the house we were moving out of had a really bad roach infestation.
Oh.
And my dad just decided we don't want to take the roaches with us. So he took the photo albums and just chunked them in the trash. And my mom didn't know about it until, she was unpacking and she's like, "Where's the photo albums?" He says, "I threw those away. There were roaches in them."
Ouch.
And she was so mad.
What about negatives? No negatives?
Well, back in those days, it was Polaroid land camera.
Oh,
The
okay. You had
ones
the
where
Polaroid.
you'd snap it and then you'd slide the thing
Yep.
out and then just flap it around for a while and then
Yep.
peel the backing off.
One shot
See,
wonders. You lose
yeah.
that, you got it all gone.
And then later we got Polaroid land camera where you snap, it comes out, and then
Right.
it develops in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those
Which,
black and white ones. You had to put a coating on it.
yeah, the quality of the film on those things is not too good.
No kidding. So, what'd you think, Roy?
A little piece of Americana. You know, I like the things that bind us all together. It's funny. I remember putting up paneling in my parents' house, and I remember it being new.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new thing. You know, it's like, why are we putting paneling up? You know, I didn't quite understand it to me because it was like, okay, there's nothing wrong with the wall that's there. Why are we? You know, but I guess I guess my dad would have thought I was lazy or something, but
it was a 70s thing.
But it was just part of the thing, and the same thing with the haircuts, whatever else, and let me see. I was going to say another thing. Whatever else, it's
the clothing. You mentioned the sweater he was wearing, or the shirt.
I was
like lost
curious about that. That kind of looked futuristic.
Yeah.
He had the V cut,
Right.
whatever else, and then it was a little white underneath it, whatever else, and it was all
turtleneck looking thing.
all like one piece. It looked like something like Bill Mummy would wear, or
that's what I was thinking.
some other kind of science fiction show.
Those were very popular. Yeah, I had something like that.
Sort of double as a real thing, whatever else. So, yeah.
So you had a good time.
A lot of history. It reminds you a lot of history, and when things were simpler, whatever else. And you're talking about the Polaroids and that stuff. I had a lot of that experience as well. But it was different back then. It was like $3 for a roll, but it was like 3 minutes. On the
on Super 8 film, yeah,
tape, and it wasn't video.
Right.
It wasn't. And then you were talking Polaroids. I mean, don't worry about the Polaroids you lost. They would have been dribbled by now. They just kept getting worse and worse over time. Whatever.
Yeah, they have to stay out of sunlight.
But, Polaroids were not. They were really bad. They always talked about them and they looked at them and but it was the idea of instant photography that had sold it. That it was like, oh, that's cool. That looks sort of like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something else, whatever else. And we had that tape. We had 2 rolls on the Super 8 kind of thing. We had Christmas, which was a whole reel.
Right.
We would take, and then we do the parade and we'd do all that stuff and we'd show toys and that stuff, but real quick. And then the other reel was the rest of the year. That was a mark for a year. So, okay, 30 seconds Halloween, or 40 seconds or whatever was it.
Yeah.
They would get a few little clips of things, but that was
all
it.
silent.
And you just you only had so much. You didn't have now we have so much that you never watch it.
You still have those?
You
still have those movies?
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, unfortunately don't. And the like I said, and I was the first kid, whatever else. I had some pictures, but they were mostly black and whites. And then, they were expensive at that time, comparably expensive. And like I said, we have some of those films. We have that. We have a couple tapes that we switched to VHS, so that's good. But we don't have the actual stuff anymore. So, and I had a jump for me. It was like, somebody actually asked me, what happened to you, Roy? All the pictures I see of you, you're 6 foot tall. where, but that's, that was about 11 or 12 or something.
Right.
So I was a big kid, but they didn't have cameras when I was younger, or they just didn't use them. They were too busy. They were working well, so they had a little more time, a little more money later on, and then we took pictures of all the other kids or whatever else. But
they couldn't fit you in the frame, you
you
were too tall to fit in the frame. Yeah, everybody else is down here, and your head's cut off.
Yeah, that was common. Yeah, I used to have a lot of dead man pants too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were high waiters. Whatever else. I'd have about 6 inches at the bottom. Because I was.
Yeah, me too.
I was still taller than grown men. But that was the closest to it. But it was like, my dad would say, what are you doing? You expecting the flood?
No,
but apparently you bought me these pants.
Yeah.
No, I would never say that. I would have been in trouble. But
not if you want to live.
You got to take when you're a kid.
Yeah. Okay, Mark. What do you say? You like the video?
Yeah, I do. The music was really peaceful and had some parody in it. Kind of takes you back into that era. I graduated in '78, and I remember going up on that roof. We had a 2-story home in Bremerton, Washington, and we're all a Navy family, and you could see on the weekends throughout the street, looking up and down, kids were up on the roof adjusting their antenna. And it was kind of funny because we'd wave to each other. So and the clothing, I've seen it. I thought I saw a Levi's jacket, but it kind of takes you back a little bit and makes you think about times, and they weren't necessarily, quote, easier times.
Right.
They were different times, and they were good, bad, and easy, or good, bad, and ugly. It just depends on how you look at it, but it sure makes you think about back in that time when you're seeing someone else's photos and you relate back to that age, that time, that era.
Absolutely.
So I like that.
Yeah. Well, I know with us, I would be the one up on the roof. My sister would be out in the yard, and my dad would be in the living room with the door open, watching the TV, and he'd relay to her, have him turn it a little bit to the left. Nope, back a little bit. No, right there. Tell him to stop.
Yeah.
I said
A little bit back to the right. Okay, stop.
Well, we had a similar situation.
By the time it would be relayed to me, I would have gone past where he wanted me. You know, I'm rotating that antenna one way or the other.
Well, also you got to remember that
we'd lock it down with a wrench, but with the wind, it would get out of adjustment within a week or so, and we'd be right back up on the roof again.
No kidding. Okay, kids, listen. I know it's hard for you to believe, but there was a time when the average American family either didn't have a television or they had one television. And for the best reception, you had to have a very tall antenna on a pole that stuck up on the roof or, past the roof so that you could actually receive signals from the next largest town near you. And that's what this song's all about. Now, in my case, I lived out in the country for about 6 or 7 years with my stepfather and my mother and a stepbrother and a sister and so on. And enough about me, but they had me doing that kind of a thing too. I had to turn it to the left or the right or whatever, and it was all frustration. And my stepfather finally had enough of it and said, "That's it. I'm buying a mechanical rotator." So he's got this thing on top of the television now, and he turns it to the left or the right to where he wants it to be. And the thing is, when you only have one TV, you don't have to worry about, we didn't have VCRs or anything like that. But now, if you have one antenna and you're receiving the local channels and you're using that antenna for your DVR or whatever, or another TV in another room, you mess with that antenna signal and the other channels are going to go offline. Okay, you can't do that. You got to have a dedicated antenna for each TV device.
And raise your hand if you remember that flat antenna cable that you had literally wired to the back of your TV.
What was that, 30 ohms? Matt, 30 ohm?
Ladder line cable they used back then, too.
Yeah. And it's 30 ohms, right?
It's I think around 700 ohms.
Oh, okay.
The coax is 70 ohms.
Yeah, I know it was smaller than that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I remember when I was a kid, we had several TV antennas. I had one in my room, a console TV that I fixed, and I was what 15 then when I fixed the TV. I replaced some tubes in it and got it back working. Color TV, 25-inch RCA console somebody gave me.
Nice.
And I got it back working, and the color was excellent on it. And my aunt said, that's going in the front room for us.
That ain't right.
I had to wheel it in the front room and put it in the front room for them. And I was stuck with a black and white TV.
Oh, man. That's kind of rude.
And that was all right. For my aunt, it didn't matter. I took the antenna. They were like, Dad, come turn the antenna. I went out there. I got tired of climbing on the house, so I put a sleeve around the top part of the antenna, around that part at the top, and then at the bottom, I clamped me a pair of vice grips on it.
Yep.
And I turned the whole thing with that while it was set down in a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn it, and that's good. I just take me a rope and wrap it around it, and lock it in place, and it was good for 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, thanks for the memories there, Kenneth. Interesting
I'll
stuff.
bring back some old memories too.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
I'll look, see if I can find some pictures of myself. But I can't think of any music or nothing.
All right, that's it for the AV Club. Come back and see us again soon. Goodbye.
Hailing frequencies are closed. Transmission complete.
Doing it in the video compositor, whatever your screen setting is, it's going to stretch that image to fit that screen.
All right. Well, just send them to me and I'll do them for you then.
Yeah.
It's easier in my editor.